Hi there.
I'm going to turn it over to you. I've already introduced you, so I'll just let you go.
Great, thank you. Let me see if I can get it shared. Can you see that okay?
Yes, ma'am. We're good.
Great. Well, thank you guys so much for inviting me to be a part of this. Great to see such a good turnout. I know it's, not the best circumstance this year, not being able to get together in person, but it sure is nice to see so many producers on the call. As Barry mentioned, I'm Jill Schofield with the Nevada Beef Council. I see some California producers on here too, so I'm also with the California Beef Council, and I'll share some of that partnership here in just a moment. This past year has been unprecedented for so many reasons, and I know there have been frustrations on a number of levels for everyone for different reasons. What I want to talk about today is a little bit about our background and the background of the checkoff briefly, just to kind of familiarize everyone with how we function, and then give you a couple of examples of programs and campaigns that did happen this year to really make sure we keep beef top of mind for consumers, when we're out of this pandemic, and kind of show you what we're doing on your behalf. So as many of you might be aware, the Nevada Beef Council is funded by the Beef Checkoff. That was formed in the 80s as part of the 1985 Farm Bill. What we sometimes get some confusion about is how that works. So every time cattle are sold in Nevada, that dollar per head checkoff is collected in Nevada, and 50 cents of that is retained for Nevada Beef Council specific programming. The other 50 cents is sent to the Cattlemen's Beef Board, and it contracts with industry organizations or contractors to really implement those programs on a national level. And that's everything from, the Beef It's What's for Dinner campaign that we're also familiar with, to, really important research and programs like that. And it really runs the full gamut of things that are done. But whatever the program is, whether it's done on a state or national level, the bottom line is really increasing that demand for beef. Making sure that consumers continue to reach for that protein and go to that protein, especially as additional options continue to enter the marketplace. So, 2020 being what it was, we want to make sure we look at the long game, and that we're continuing to be top of mind for consumers and resonate with consumers for the perpetuity of that demand. For the Nevada Beef Council specifically, we really want to focus on that consumer outreach and education to increase that beef demand. And I'll share a couple of examples from this year. We really focus on providing factual information to both consumers and beef producers. You are our investors, and we work on your behalf. So making sure you have information and results of what's happening on your behalf with that investment is really important. Making sure we're using off dollars effectively and efficiently, and then representing the entire beef industry in Nevada, not just one particular segment. So I mentioned briefly the Nevada and California Beef Council partnership, and we've had this partnership for a number of years, so I think most people are familiar with it. But many years ago, the Nevada Beef Council began contracting with the California Beef Council for that administrative and staff support. And what that really allowed was for the Nevada Beef Council, which has a much smaller operating budget every year than other states, it allows the Nevada team to focus most of that money on programs and campaigns that are targeting consumers and influencers. So very little of that is spent on the administration function or staff and that sort of thing. There's really a bigger bang for the buck. You get a team of 5, and I'll kind of introduce you to everybody in just a moment, who work on your behalf throughout the year. And there's a lot of caution in ensuring that everything collected in Nevada is used fully for Nevada programs, and I'll give an example of one in just a moment. In addition to the staff, I think it's important for you all to know that representing you are producers in Nevada. Our board of directors includes producers who are really committed to making sure they represent you well. They give guidance and insight to make sure checkoff dollars in Nevada are being invested in a way that is in line with what producers really want to see. And here, just giving you a list of who we have on the board here in Nevada. I'll just allow you to kind of look at that list there, but I do want to point out that Carrie Pomeranian, who you see next to last, is our newest board member, just joining us this year. And I should mention that every couple of years we have an opportunity for producers to apply to be on the board. We have an opportunity coming up in the next couple of months. If you have any interest in joining the Nevada Beef Council, reach out to me. I'll share my contact information here shortly, and we can get you some information on doing so. And then here's just the staff that you have on your behalf. I want to point out that Corey Dover, who you see listed second, is a registered dietitian. So she really focuses on health and nutrition, and she is the newest member of our team. And then you have Annette Cassis there, who focuses on our consumer marketing, Christy Van Egmond, who engages with our retail and food service partners, myself getting to join you in the producer relations role, and then Bill Dale is our executive director. And the nice thing for our team is that we really get to focus on some very specific areas that are important to us as an industry. And you can kind of see here our program areas. Some state beef councils, have 1 or 2 staff members who are really kind of focusing on a number of efforts. So we really are fortunate that we get to kind of focus on what we're experts at in our respective areas, and really have broad, robust programs in each of these areas versus being kind of run a little thin in those areas. So this year, as I mentioned, it was a little challenging. I know for a lot of us, if you're like me, in March and April, you went into your local grocery store and the meat shelf or the meat case was cleared out. So, that obviously sent shockwaves to every part of the industry. As things started to sort of even out again, and we sort of saw some stabilization that happened in the late spring and early summer, we launched a campaign called United We Steak to really reach consumers at a time when there was maybe a little bit of optimism happening after a really challenging spring, and remind people not just of the shared traditions of grilling steaks in the summer and kind of reaching into that positive aspects of getting to enjoy the summer months with a good juicy steak, but also sharing the story of the men and women like yourselves who are behind those steaks, and reminding folks that it's the farmers and ranchers of Nevada and the country who really are responsible for people getting to enjoy that. What you see here is kind of a culmination of this campaign. This campaign was an excellent state and national partnership. This graphic kind of showcases the national aspect of that. If you can see that, that is literally every state cut into a steak that is specific to that state. So somebody hand cut each of these steaks to represent each state. Nevada is a pretty easy one. Alaska and Hawaii, I think, probably took a little more time. But this campaign really incorporated a number of advertising components throughout the country, digital and social media advertising, broadcast advertising primarily through radio, as well as a number of videos that were released. And nationally, it really exceeded expectations with over 326 million impressions throughout the duration of the campaign, which ended in over the Labor Day weekend. Now, here in Nevada, we really wanted to take that campaign and localize it and give sort of a Nevada face to the campaign. You can see our custom steak there, and it's also behind me on my screen. So we really amplified this through a number of efforts. We had a broadcast advertising campaign that included both radio and digital broadcasting. We did streaming audio, banner ads online, social media ads, and ads, video ads airing on over-the-top television. And that's refers to ways to get TV without having a cord. So if you think of Amazon Prime or Hulu or those streaming type services, which a lot of consumers go to, we did a number of advertising there. And then we also offered a rebate through Ibotta, which is an online app that we've partnered with for a number of years that allows people to get cost savings on a product that they're purchasing. For this campaign, we offered a $2 rebate on any beef cut a pound or larger. This comes at a time, we heard about the price increases that affected a lot of commodities, but certainly beef. So this rebate was offered at a time when meat prices were certainly going a little bit higher, and consumers were struggling financially in many cases. So we thought the timing was right to sort of give that opportunity to incentivize purchasing beef when it might be a little more difficult than normal. We also offered a Traeger grill sweepstakes, and that was donated through Traeger through a partnership with them. And then we did some additional localization through some landing pages where we showcased Nevada ranching families, and really brought it home for Nevada consumers specifically. I want to go back briefly to that Ibotta component just to share some of the results there. So through just that app, we had over 500,000 brand impressions. That's people looking at the app and seeing the beef rebate. We had nearly 13,000 add to list events. What that means is when you go in Ibotta, you have to conduct an activity in order to unlock the rebate. In this case, that was viewing a Nevada Beef Council video. So once people unlock that video, and you can see 13,000 people did that, then the rebate offer is available to them. And we had over 7,200 actually then go through and redeem that offer. And the nice thing about Ibotta is really kind of getting the metrics of who we're reaching. And you can see here about 90% of the redemptions were from female consumers, with about 10% from male. And you can see the top age groups there being between the ages of 25 and 44 respectively, or combined. And that really speaks to the fact that, you know, these are the demographics we're really trying to target in a lot of our campaigns and marketing. So having this kind of metric helps ensure that we're really hitting the nail on the head when it comes to our advertising efforts. I just want to show you the screen capture of the localized page that we had. Again, the wonderful aspect of having that state and national partnership is that we had the partnership of the National Beef It's What's for Dinner program to develop all of these tremendous assets. So everything from the hand cut steaks that you see there to all of the graphics, the website development, you know, things that cost quite a bit of money if you were to do it on your own. And that really helped us leverage this campaign even further than we would have been able to on our own. So that was one example of a campaign that we were excited about this year, and just, you know, again, giving you that sense of what was done. This has been an unusual year, but that is kind of the kind of campaign that you might see in a regular year as well. But I just want to leave you with a couple of things. One is that we often get questions about beef commercials, you know, the Beef It's What's for Dinner commercials we all loved years ago, why we don't see them on TV anymore. And that just reflects the shifting behavior of consumers, right? That, you know, traditional television is not where we see a lot of consumer activity, or as much when you compare sort of the bang for your buck in terms of investment. But this holiday season, there was a return to broadcast television. And it's hard to see on the screen here, but that's actually a prime rib roasting on a spit. And this was the feature of a series of ads that ran during the countdown to Christmas on the Hallmark Channel. I don't know if any of you are as excited about those as some of us, but the Hallmark Channel Christmas movies and programming is a very popular series of programs. So the Beef It's What's for Dinner team took this sort of video of a prime rib turning on a spit into some very brief commercials and aired during that holiday season. So just kind of exciting, I think, for those of us in the industry who kind of work on this kind of stuff, to see that return to TV. And for those of you who don't know, the drool log and where that prime rib comes from, in 2019, the Beef Checkoff team created this drool log, which was literally a 2-hour video of a prime rib roasting on a spit. And it was kind of done as, you know, kind of a fun thing to add on social media or have on YouTube in order to replace that traditional Yule log. And what they found was over 14 million views of it. So it was a little more popular than I think anyone anticipated. So they really repurposed that for the campaign this year. So just wanted to share that recent kind of new effort that was launched in late 2020. Just to close out, I just wanted to share a few things that we really have as resources for you as beef producers and that we're working on. One is something we've been working on for a few months, and that's a local Nevada beef directory. I think many of you are aware and probably saw, you know, a very a high increase in consumers looking to ranchers to purchase beef directly. You know, we certainly saw that in California as well. So we're putting together a directory of those of you producers who sell directly to the consumers or process locally. It'll simply be a listing on our website that provides information about what kind of beef, you know, if you have any specific certifications, where you're located, how they can find more, et cetera. So that's something that speaks to you that you're involved in. You know, feel free to reach out to me and I can get you included in that. And that's really just to provide consumers with one more option when they're looking for ways to buy beef. You know, certainly we have the traditional supply chain methods for purchasing it, but for those who want to have that more localized experience, we want to make sure they can find that through us as well. This year, we're also working on a stockmanship and stewardship event. We received grant funding from NCBA and from some corporate sponsors for that to take place in 2020. Obviously, it didn't happen for many reasons, so we're looking ahead to do this in 2021. This is, you know, a high quality producer education event. Beef quality assurance will be a part of it, as well as different tracks on everything from low stress animal handling to issues and efforts that are important to the Nevada rancher specifically. As we get a second date kind of tied in there, I'll be sure to share that, but just stay tuned for that. And then finally, you know, if you want to keep up to speed with what's happening on your behalf, both nationally and in Nevada, I would just encourage you to sign up for the Drive. It's a newsletter that Cattlemen's Beef Board recently developed. If you'd like to get signed up for that, just to kind of keep an eye on what's happening and learn a little bit more about your checkoff dollars at work, feel free to reach out to me and I can get you.
Dewey.
Yes.
Jill, I'm sorry I jumped in. I think I punched the button there.
No, that was my last slide, so that's perfect.